I think the inflection point for Southeast Asia and India have been happening since 2010, and it's been only getting amplified with more macro events, whether it was COVID that essentially created a more diversification of the global supply chain, where countries in Southeast Asia and India are benefiting more. But the true underlying attributes are the young demographics here in the region. Collectively between Singapore, Southeast Asia, and India, you are talking about close to 1 billion young people who are fairly educated and living in an economy which have been growing 5 to 7% year on year. So yes, I think the challenges in China in terms of growth and complexity related to the unpredictability in there helps markets like India and Southeast Asia as maybe more catalysts. But I believe India and Southeast Asia have been on an irreversible trend for the last 10 years already, and also should be for the next 20, 30 years. Listen, I think valuation changes are always peaks and troughs. You're always going to see a dip after a high, and vice versa. I think it helps. There's no doubt that there are value investors in the market that are more interested in putting capital at work now in this current environment where they feel the assets are rightly valued. I would, however, again think that from a founder's perspective, as they're thinking about building businesses and raising capital from managers in the market, they are more focused on thinking about what are the opportunities they want to go after, and they're happily thinking about adjusting whether it's valuations or round sizes to make sure that they have the right capital to take the opportunity. The good news about markets in Southeast Asia and India are that in many ways we are fast followers. This generation of entrepreneurs here in the region are first-time generations. And so they're learning very, very quickly from the market and evolving. So I think the capital investment in this region is only going to grow up despite all of these challenges. Yeah, I think if you look at the past of the last 10, 20 years, I would say that India and Southeast Asia have both been markets of tech enablement, where technology has come in and solved in underserved categories, whether it is in financial inclusion, whether it is in growth of retail, on organization of unorganized retail, whether it is in insurance, whether it is in healthcare. You're seeing a lot of companies using technology to serve underserved markets. The fragmentation of the region, the dynamics of how diverse the behaviors are sometimes, those were reasons why brick and mortar companies were not able to address these challenges before, and technology companies are now able to do it well. So I think the last 10, 20 years have been a lot of companies and success stories which are tech enablement. What you're going to see is more of that, but you're also going to see a lot more innovation come out of this region. We invested in a company called Builder, which is now the top 3 AI companies in the world. I think Fast Company rated as them as that. And that company came out of this region. And so you're going to certainly see sectors in which now entrepreneurs in the region are going to capitalize on their skill sets here. A lot of educated people, a lot of technology prowess, great consumption base, and they're going to be an innovation first market also. So in some sense, we're going to have dual engines of growth for the region as far as investable opportunities grow. Yeah, I think it's a journey, and I'm here at Super Returns, and I certainly feel like coming home. We started the journey 10, 12 years ago as a young founder of a venture fund. And today here we are, we're managing $1 billion under management, some of the best global LPs as our base. And I think our journey is a great reference of how the entire ecosystem venture here is in the region. We've grown, we've learned, we've had some successes. I think initially it was a question on whether the opportunity exists in this region. I think that's beyond doubt now for LPs. Whether there's going to be enough investable founders, are there going to be enough quality managers that they can work with? I think that's all now proven. And as a journey, always, there are many more things that continue to need to be proven. I think there's been interesting DPI in the region. We've sold companies to the likes of Intuits and Twitters and Naspers. But there's a lot more of large scale liquidity events that are planned for the next 3-4 years. And so I actually think everybody's looking forward to what's coming, which is there's a pipeline of companies which are going to go public and create large scale liquidity for LPs that are early investors in this region. And I actually feel it's going to get very, very competitive from here onwards for LPs. It's going to be challenging for them to put money in GPs because they're going to be able to choose who they want to work with. Yeah, I think one of the key trends that has not been spoken about as much is how much of the region is getting homogenized from a consumption behavior perspective and what that means from an opportunity perspective. If you look at Jungle, we've got about 50 companies across the region, financial inclusion, retail, software. 90% of these companies are now in 2 or 3 countries, not just their home countries. And what that means is they've now been able to expand their TAM, their addressable market, by 2 to 3 times. And so, one of the challenges for emerging markets has always been, hey, are there going to be the size of outcomes that move the needle for our industry? And I think the evolution of this regionalization of businesses and success stories in there, where hundreds of millions of revenues is now coming for these kind of businesses outside of their home markets, is going to be a huge inflection point for the region that I think is a trend that maybe is not spoken about as much, is not paid as much attention, but it's going to be a key driver for long-term value here.